Even as a child, Ward Weaver III has an evil building inside of him.
He was literally torturing one of his sisters.
He would just fly into a blind rage like somebody possessed.
As an adult, Ward becomes just like the birth father he never knew.
They had the same rage, the same anger, the same unpredictability. Everything they did was identical. It's like they were both born to rape and kill.
When father and son are finally reunited,
Hello, Ward.
an unforgettable terror is unleashed.
There have been serial killers who have hidden bodies up in the hills, but nothing like this.
This is a textbook example of how families can pass evil along from generation to generation.
Robert Radford and his girlfriend Barbara Levoy are worried. Their car is broken down, and they've been stranded for hours.
It was in the middle of nowhere. They had no way to get a hold of anybody. They were just up there in a very dark, very cold, very, very isolated place.
Finally, two headlights appear on the horizon.
Like an angel of mercy, a huge 18-wheeler truck pulls up. They're thinking, this is the answer to our prayers. Our problem is solved.
We got trouble there. Our car broke down. They ask, will you drive us to the next town? And he's going in the direction they're going, and he seems very low-key.
Yeah, I can help you out. I got plenty of time to kill. Why'd you go on and get in on the other side?
They saw that as their way to get out of there, which they needed to do. Were glad for the ride and got inside.
Just moments into their trip, there's a problem.
All of a sudden, the truck lurches a little bit. And the driver says, did you feel that? I think something, my load just shifted. So he pulls over to the shoulder of the road, stops the truck, and says to Robert, hold the flashlight for me, I want to check. So the men get out of the cab.
You check it back there, that flashlight for me.
Barbara's sitting there, and she's waiting and waiting. She hears a muffled scream. Tries to look out the window, and she doesn't see anything.
The trucker gets back in the cab, alone.
Where is Robert?
And he just looks back at her and says, you're with me now.
She must have felt like she was suddenly in a scene from an 80s horror movie. It started out as a normal night, and now she's alone with a maniac.
Barbara's night of terror is just the beginning of a twisted murder spree that spans 3 generations. 11-year-old Ward Weaver III never had a strong male role model to look up to.
He doesn't remember his real father, hasn't seen him since he was 3 years old. And he feels the need for a dad.
Ward's childhood had never been stable. Nearly a decade earlier, his mother Agatha divorced his father, Ward Jr. She took her son and his 2 sisters to Oregon, where she fell in love with single dad Vincent Tarragon. But Ward III's home life worsened.
His mother remarried a very macho, very hard-drinking longshoreman
I see you over there.
who was very violent.
The stepfather physically abused him, and I believe his sister. So he had kind of a difficult upbringing.
Despite it all, Ward III was able to put up with Vincent's violent, drunken behavior.
And then at some point, his stepfather took him on a trip.
When he gets home, his personality has changed. He's sullen, he's angry, and his mother says, that was when I lost him.
She suspected that he'd been sexually abused by stepfather.
Despite her suspicions, she stays with Vincent. And before long, her preteen son started acting out against his stepbrother.
His little stepbrother has a fear of dogs, and there's a vicious dog next door. He chains his stepbrother to a tree so that the dog is snapping and growling and jumping at him. And Ward III just thinks it's funny.
Ward III also targeted his little sister, Angela.
He'd go after his little sister with his BB gun and shoot it at her.
Ward III may have learned his violent behavior from his stepfather, but little did he know he also had generations of bad blood surging through his veins. As a child, Ward's biological father, Ward Francis Weaver Jr., was also raised in a depraved household.
His father and mother met in a whorehouse. Dad tried Mom out a few times as a business transaction.
Yes, right.
Liked what he got, so he took her to Reno and married her.
As the family grew, Ward Weaver Sr. was anything but a model father.
What's wrong with you? I just want to go love it.
His dad was emotionally abusive towards his son. He was sexually abusive towards his daughter. He was physically abusive towards his wife. I'll cut it right off!
The violence Ward Jr. endured from the hands of his father was nothing compared to the abuse he received from his mother, Dorothy.
You all are pigs! I should castrate every last one of you!
She hated men, and she'd been a prostitute. She was married to a man who abused her, and she punished Ward Jr. by biting him until he bled.
Your mother is all you need! Do you understand me?
A parent that would react with such rage against her own child obviously is very primitive.
I am not kidding! Go to my bedroom! I will be there in a minute!
And she slept in bed with him until he turned 18, probably to desexualize him. By sleeping with him, she made sure that he stayed chaste.
It's unknown if Dorothy sexually abused her son, but as a teen, Ward Jr. tried to break away. He fell in love with the first girl that paid him any attention, high school classmate Agatha Crumpton.
Dorothy?
They dated seriously for 6 months and then got married.
When Ward Jr. and Agatha were married, they didn't have enough money for a place of their own, so they stayed with Ward Sr. and Dorothy for a while.
No funny business. I know a whore when I see one.
It's not like that, Mom.
Under her roof, Dorothy made Agatha's life a living hell.
We're all on top of each other here.
Dorothy was all over the marriage, 24/7. It was like living in a prison for Agatha.
A year into their marriage, Agatha gave birth to Ward III. She had 2 more children, both girls, before finally putting her foot down about Dorothy's meddling. She told Ward Jr. to do something about it. And he did.
Don't talk about my mother like that.
Ward Jr. beat up Agatha. He behaves in that situation much as his father did to his mother. The marriage lasts 6 years before Agatha decides she's had enough. She takes the kids and she leaves.
The family moved to Southern Oregon, where Agatha married Vincent Tarragon. Ward Jr. made nearly no attempt to stay in contact with his kids. At 24, he was on his own.
So we look at his life. He had a father who was a drunkard, who verbally abused him, and he had this mother who disregarded the fact that he was an adult male. He doesn't have any direction, and then he sees that he can join the military. The military provides him with an escape and a direction.
To the dismay of his overbearing mother, Ward Jr. joined the Army and was shipped off to fight in the Vietnam War.
The problem is you have a man who comes from a conflicted life at home, and then he goes into a world of military in the heart of the Vietnam War, then experiences things that just add to his damage and his skewed sense of right and wrong.
These nightmarish experiences in Vietnam must have kindled in him a combination of disgust and desire.
After serving a tour of duty, Ward Jr. returned home a changed man.
He withdraws into himself. He becomes completely withdrawn, antisocial. He doesn't even go to visit his family, and his kids are a little bit older now, and they miss him. But he doesn't have anything to do with them because perhaps he recognizes that he's no longer a human being, he's becoming a monster.
Ward Jr. and Ward III's lives will become a journey of self-discovery.
When they finally met, it was like destiny.
And their paths to enlightenment will leave behind a trail of bodies.
It's like they were born to rape and kill. Everything they did was identical, even how they buried bodies.
As a preteen, Ward Weaver III begins displaying a dark side.
Ward III was literally torturing one of his sisters.
I'm gonna tell Mom and Dad. Stop it, Ward.
His mother has been convinced for years that he's a demon seed, and she throws her hands up in the air and says, what am I going to do?
Is Ward III destined to repeat the sins of his father? At 18, Ward Weaver III searches for a new path in life.
He was a young man looking for direction, a young man who is not wanted anywhere except by the military.
He follows in his father's footsteps, enlisting in the armed forces.
Weaver III left the house by joining the Navy in his senior year of high school.
Once in the Navy, Ward III is assigned to an aircraft carrier stationed in the Philippines. One day while on shore leave, the young sailor gets a taste of the local flavor.
Hello, Sailor. What will you have?
He meets a bartender in a tiki bar named Maria.
Give me a shot of whiskey and a side of you.
And they connect. And he falls in love with Maria.
You should.
Good?
Ward III can't get enough of his newfound girlfriend. Maria seems to be his first true love.
He ends up spending too much time at the tiki bar with Maria, and sometimes forgets to report back to his ship when he's supposed to.
He had a lot of absentees, he had a lot of problem with drinking, and he actually got dishonorably discharged very quickly.
Even though Ward III is now out of the Navy, Maria's hanging on tight, because anything back in the United States is bound to be better than life in the Philippines. So Ward III and Maria come back to the United States.
The couple settles in Fairfield, California. Everything is going well, but Maria is about to see a completely different side of her beloved.
You have too much.
Maria gets pregnant,
Woman, you don't tell me.
and 5 months into the pregnancy, he loses his temper with her.
He suddenly becomes possessed and extremely violent, and it just seems to come out of nowhere.
And he beats her until she has to go to the hospital.
And like father, like son, the same violence, the same rage, the same anger, the same unpredictability.
Ward III is arrested, but he convinces Maria not to press charges.
He asks for her forgiveness. He makes up for it with flowers and candy, and he dotes on her.
Their son Francis is born, and a few months later, Ward III and Maria seal their love with a ring and a promise. But neither a child nor the sanctity of marriage stops Ward III from his destiny of violence.
And there you see the cycle. There's the abuse, and then it subsides. And then there's this loving man wishing to make up for their behavior and for their loss of control. And so she remains.
Not only does Maria stay by his side, but she tries to save their relationship by growing the family. She gives birth to 2 more sons, Alex and Mark.
Life continues to be miserable. Ward III is abusive. He can't hold down a job. And along with all the other stresses that they're under, now they have financial worries as well.
Ward III doesn't know it, but his father's life has also taken a darker turn. After he leaves the military, Ward Weaver Jr. remarries and settles in Oroville, California. By 1981, his demons are still haunting him, so he stays away as much as he can.
Ward Jr. had to make a living, but he didn't want to deal with people. So he took a job as a truck driver, which gave him long stretches alone on the road. It was perfect for him.
February 5th seems like a typical night for Ward Jr. He's just a few miles east of Tehachapi, California.
Ward Jr.'s driving down a dark highway. He's got a load. He's taking it to San Francisco. And he sees a couple in distress at the side of the road. Broken down car.
As Robert Radford and Barbara Levoy flag him down, Ward Jr. pulls over.
We'll never know for sure why he stopped, but we do know that once he saw Barbara, a predatory nature then took over, and he wanted to have her, and nothing was going to stop him.
We having trouble there. Our car broke down. Can you take us to the next town?
Yeah, I can help you out. I have plenty of time to kill.
Where'd you go on and get in on the other side?
As he drives down the road, he's consumed with evil thoughts.
Ward Jr.'s mind is working. How do I get rid of this guy?
Where you headed?
So I can have this woman to myself.
So I saw nothing else. Gotta be there in a couple days.
And he thinks. And he plots.
I'll get you there, all right.
And then he comes up with this idea.
Suddenly he jerks the wheel of the truck.
Feel that? Yeah, what was that?
He says, we have to check that out. He stops the truck. Says to the man here, hold the flashlight for me.
No problem. You check the back there with that flashlight for me.
And they go back to the back of the truck. And Robert's dutifully holding the flashlight. And he grabs a 4-foot cheater pipe that truckers use as leverage to tighten their bindings. Ward Jr. sneaks up behind him with the pipe.
He wanted Barbara so bad, he knew he would have to kill to get her.
You check the back there with that flashlight for me.
Shortly after picking up stranded motorists Robert Radford and Barbara Levoy, Ward Weaver Jr. pulls off the road, consumed with dark thoughts.
Ward Jr.'s lost has gotten so great at this point that when he hits Robert over the head with the pipe, he can't stop. And leaves him lying limp in a pool of blood at the side of the road.
Where is Robert?
You're with me now.
All you have is his screaming voice, pleading with him to stop, but he's not going to. And he drives on, because he's on a mission now. And he's on a mission to have her.
Barbara doesn't know what's happened to Robert. She doesn't know who this man is she's with, and her life's flashing before her eyes.
Finally, Ward Jr. pulls off the road. He then rapes Barbara in his truck.
Following the rape, he then ties her hands, he ties her feet. He's not going to be letting her go.
Hours later, police discover Robert on the side of the road. The young man dies on the way to the hospital. Detectives issue an APB for Barbara. They have no idea she's already hundreds of miles north.
Ward likes her, and he wants to keep her around for a while and play with her. So he's heading home with his new slave.
As Ward Jr. nears his home, he notices Barbara's bindings are coming undone.
He stops the truck, and he's going to rebind her with electrical tape and put in a new gag so she can't scream. As he's putting the gag in, she figures this is her last chance to fight back.
She bites him as hard as she can. And that seems to trigger something.
My mother is
something very deep and dark. He becomes consumed with rage. He strangles the life force out of Barbara.
The unplanned murder sends Ward Jr. into a panic.
After Ward Jr. killed Barbara, he needed to dispose of the body. What he did was he brought it home, and he actually buried the body in his backyard and covered that with concrete.
Afterwards, Ward Jr. feels a new urge building inside of him.
This is something that he wants to repeat. This is not just a one-time thing. And the drive to kill and kill is a consuming thought in his mind, and one that he believes he can get away with.
Hey, how are you?
Where you heading?
Sacramento?
3 months later,
Let's come in here where it's cool.
Ward Jr. is back on the hunt.
And it's the same scenario, except for this couple gets away. And they tell the police, and Ward Jr. is caught.
On February 12, 1982, Ward Jr. is convicted of conspiracy to commit murder and sentenced to life in prison. Investigators don't know about his first two victims, Robert Radford and Barbara Levoy, but they're about to find out.
Now, the first time they didn't get away. I raped him. I murdered him.
The big problem with Ward Jr. as a criminal mastermind is he can't keep his mouth shut.
I even buried her in the backyard.
He just had this need to talk, this need to brag. And so the jailhouse snitch goes to the police.
It was only because he bragged about it to a cellmate in prison who told authorities that they were able to pin it on him at all.
Investigators race to Ward Jr.'s house and unearth the body. Ward Jr. is charged with Barbara and Robert's murders. The news makes major headlines, and no one is following the story more closely than his firstborn son, Ward III.
Ward Weaver III hears that Ward Weaver Jr. is in prison and being tried for murder.
It's a stunning revelation. Up until now, Ward III knew almost nothing about his father after he left the family.
This is his long-lost father. And he suddenly becomes absolutely fascinated with the subject of his own father. And here's his chance to find out more about Ward Jr.
Ward III plans an impromptu family reunion.
So he travels to the courthouse, and he sits in and he watches the trial. And he learns for the first time about his family tree, and he recognizes in that tree the poison fruit inside himself.
Ward Jr. is convicted of double murder and sentenced to death.
Ward III doesn't give up on him. He visits his father in prison, and they start to bond.
Hello, Ward. You can call me Dad.
This was something that he had never had as a child. Ever. He now had as an adult.
You ever serve your country? Served in the Navy. Got stationed in the Philippines. Philippines. Took a tour through those ladies. Maybe a few. I bet you never buried one in your backyard.
The family reunion awakens a monster inside of Ward III.
He would become the mirror image of his father.
And nothing will quench his thirst for blood.
Everyone thought he was a great guy, but he had evil in his veins.
Ward Weaver III reconnects with his birth father, who's on death row for 2 brutal murders.
Hello, Ward.
When they finally met, it was like destiny.
You can call me Dad.
And some of the personality traits that weren't handed down genetically now are purposefully put into Ward III's repertoire.
I bet you never buried one in your backyard.
Can Ward III stop himself from careening down the identical path of destruction?
Just because Ward III is reconnected with his father doesn't mean that his own life is sorting itself out. In fact, quite the opposite. He and Maria are still having tremendous problems. He can't hold down a job. They have no money.
Maria turns to their neighbors, the Mendoza family, for help.
This family, seeing them in such dire straits, invites them to come live with them. To help them out.
We cannot thank you enough. Oh, it's nothing. We just get along great.
We get along great right now, it looks like.
Yes.
The Mendoza's 2 teenage girls help out with Ward's 3 boys, now 4, 2, and 1 years old.
And life for the Weavers improves. Having the 2 families together gives Ward III a little more structure. And for a while, everything seems to be happy. Trouble is, Ward III's still a drinker. He likes to go out by himself, and hang out in bars.
And soon he regresses. Too drunk to drive, Ward III calls the Mendozas, asking for a ride home.
The older girl who could drive was going to pick him up. She had her younger sister come with her.
Hurry up! Get in!
On the way home, Ward III suddenly tells them to pull over.
He says, I have to get out and take a leak. So they stop the car, but they're teasing him. And he loses his temper.
Shut up! When you gotta go, you gotta go.
Ward begins arguing with the older sister.
What are you laughing at?
You! God, you're so pathetic!
It triggered something inside him, and he grabbed a nearby cinder block and attempted to crush her brain with it. The other sister then came to help her sister, and somehow they both escaped.
The girls call the police, and Ward III is arrested.
He ends up going to prison for 3 years for the cinder block incident.
While he's in prison, Maria stands by her husband.
Maria does not divorce Ward, but Maria doesn't have a lot of other options. She's poor, she's unskilled, so she does stay with him.
After he was released, he and Maria moved up to the Portland area in a small town called Canby.
The couple adds another child to their brood.
She gets pregnant again and has a little girl named Mallory, who her daddy just loves. So it's almost like a new personality forms when Mallory's born. All of a sudden, Ward III seems like a nice guy again.
Except to his wife.
His relationship with Maria remains violent, and eventually Maria takes out an order of protection and brings an end to their marriage.
Ward III moves out to nearby Oregon City. Over the years, Ward cleans up his act. He gets a job working for a tool manufacturer, and his relationship with Mallory grows stronger. By age 12, she's living with him full-time.
His 3 older boys seemingly came and went, but didn't live there in the sense that Mallory lived there.
Ward III becomes the male equivalent of a soccer mom. He's very, very involved in her life in a parenting way that's just not normal in the Weaver family. He's being a good dad.
Mallory's just the princess. Anything she wants, she gets. And by extension, anything her friends want, they get.
Mallory's best friends, Ashley Pond and Miranda Gaddis, hang out at the house all the time.
Those 2 girls have a number of things in common. They kind of look alike. They go to the same school. They live in the same apartment building. And they both have histories of sexual abuse.
Ward III knows about the abuse and treats both girls like they're his own daughters.
Well, you know what would be great after pizza? Popsicles. Popsicles would be great after we get some.
Oh, absolutely. I should have a ton of them down in the freezer.
I think Ward's home was actually kind of a more traditional family than what they were living in.
Soon, Ward III will show one of the girls that he's truly his father's son.
Ward the third and Mallory go away on a 2-week vacation, and they bring Ashley along with them. And when Ashley gets back, everything's not quite right.
How was your trip? Mom, something bad happened. Mr. Weaver raped me.
Her mother then reported it to Child Protective Services. But then, call it a mix-up,
To the media that police are investigating Ward III for kidnapping both girls.
They are saying that I am the #1 suspect.
Reporters swarm his home, and he doesn't shy away from the
I
spotlight.
have no problem with them wanting to question me, them wanting to come and search the property.
Ward III even takes one reporter for a walking tour of his property. Ward isn't showing it, but he's feeling the heat. Believing it's only a matter of time before police arrest him, he decides to flee.
He calls his son Francis and Francis's 19-year-old girlfriend to come over and help him move.
I really need to get to work. So.
You're kidding me, right?
I mean, you're in good hands. Randy's here, okay? I mean, we don't need both of us.
No, I appreciate that. No, very much. No, go. You go ahead and go to work.
I mean, I don't know what to say.
It's unknown if Ward had planned it this way,
Very much. And I do appreciate your help.
but once Francis leaves, he attacks his son's girlfriend. Then, as if possessed, Ward starts to strangle her in a shockingly familiar manner.
He's going to strangle her to death. But she gets free and runs into the street screaming for help. She almost gets hit by a car, and the driver immediately pulls out his cell phone and calls 911. At the same time, Ward III gets in his car, screams away, heads down the road.
He doesn't make it far. Police stop his vehicle a short time later and place him under arrest. When Francis learns of the attack on his girlfriend, he seemingly breaks the family's evil pattern and calls police with a shocking confession.
I need to tell everyone about my father, man. Well, what do you think of those girls? Okay. What do you think he did? I know what he did, man. He did it. He kidnapped those girls and raped the men and killed them.
Says, my dad confessed to me that he killed the girls.
And the police have it. They have it right on tape. His own son accusing him of murder.
2 weeks later, investigators finally get a warrant to search Ward's property. And they quickly make a grisly discovery.
They find Miranda's body in a box in a storage shed, badly decomposed, wrapped up in cord.
The next day, police find Ashley Pond's remains buried under a newly poured concrete patio.
The weird thing here is that Ashley's body was not that severely decomposed. The theory was that perhaps for a lot of the time she was missing, Ward III had kept her in a freezer.
Even more disturbing, days earlier, Ward III and the news reporter had strolled over the very spot where she was buried. On October 2nd, 2002, Ward Weaver III is charged with the murders of Ashley Pond and Miranda Gannis. He is also charged with the attempted murder of his son's girlfriend. He vows to fight the charges. Then, out of the blue, Ward III changes his mind.
In September 2004, he abruptly entered into a plea deal with the state whereby he would be convicted of everything in exchange for not getting the death penalty.
It's a bittersweet victory for everyone involved in the case.
He's sentenced to life in prison without parole, but never offered anything that might give people insights into what actually happened.
Based on the physical evidence and various witness statements, investigators have a theory on how Ashley met her fate.
Best theory is that Ward III got in his car and waited at the bus stop for Ashley to arrive.
Hey, Ash, listen. I really need you to come talk to me out there. She needs your help, and you're the only one that can help her.
He asked, would she come over and try to make her feel better? And Ashley sadly agreed.
I appreciate that. Thanks.
Police believe he murdered Ashley in the home, but the medical examiner isn't able to determine an exact cause of death. Miranda's murder remains a complete mystery until 2009, when Ward III finally breaks his silence.
Miranda apparently was in the wrong place at the wrong time. According to what Ward III told Miranda's sister, she was walking past the house on the way to the bus stop.
And I'm so glad you're here. You're not going to believe this, that Ashley's okay and she's inside.
So naturally, Miranda had no way of knowing that she too was about to be murdered.
She's okay. Trust me. She's good.
Today, Ward Weaver III sits in a prison cell much like his father, Ward Jr. did when they reconnected all those years ago.
Hello, Ward. Hello, Ward.
It is incredibly bizarre that a man who grew up without a dad would meet his father so late in life and yet have his father have that profound and destructive of an impact on his son. Ward Jr. came in late on Ward III's life, but he managed to ruin it anyway.
Is it nature? Is it nurture? Is it a combination of both? Because here we have a father who's a killer, and then you have a son who seems to have inherited the very same traits, who grew up in a horrible background. So you wonder, is it one, the other, is it both, or is it just some combination of traits and genes that then produces a killer?
The debate rages on. In February 2014, Ward III's son, Francis, is charged with the murder of an Oregon man.
The real twist here is that when they were giving DNA tests to all the males in the community while trying to figure out who was responsible for Ashley and Miranda's disappearance, they did a DNA test of Francis Weaver and determined that he wasn't related to Ward III at all. He was somebody else's son.